Hello and welcome to All Stats Aren't We, a podcast in which Leeds fans cast their combined eye over goings on at Ellen Road, giving scrutiny to the underlying statistics and tactical footings at work at Leeds United. I'm Thomas Hosty Cundell, and I'm joined today by none other than Dan Holdsworth. Dan, how are you? I know we're giving Martin and Adam a rest. That felt weird saying all that.
Yeah,
Right, it's been a
long
while.
time. It has been a
Yeah.
long time. Yeah, I'm good. I've had a pint after work, which is always very good, and I'm ready to talk about Leeds United and the joyous match against Brentford.
Yeah, at least we don't have to talk about what Martin and Amanda had to get into on after the game on Sunday, because I think I would have been annoyed. I only managed to watch the first half of that, and that was while working as well. So, yeah,
I think I would have preferred to be working than watching that match. It was terrible.
I sort of just kept glancing at it while I had it on my phone streaming
Yeah.
while I was doing work, and it was just I just turned it off just
Not a lot of
about when we
football was
missed the
happening.
penalty. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, me and Dan are here giving Martin and Alan rest, as we just said. We've finally managed to find a schedule and a slot where two other people are available. So yeah, if you're watching on YouTube and you're seeing our two lovely faces for the first time, why don't you give us a like and subscribe? Because maybe you haven't yet, because you've only ever seen Martin and Adam, but now you're getting two different people. And for extra content, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/ASAW Patreon. So yeah, as we've said, this is the Brentford preview, on which that game is on Saturday night, isn't it? I thought it was on Friday night at first.
No, it's the Saturday 8:00 kickoff, which I do not like.
Yeah,
It's
I can imagine.
It's a horrible time slot,
especially for you, I imagine, having to go to Thirsk if you go into the game.
Yeah, well, it's just like Saturday night game would be great if there was like a late train. I can have a few drinks, but there's not. I can't get home after that train, so I've got to drive. So it's just like my whole Saturday night's gone, and I, can't have anything to drink until I get home.
That surprises me that there isn't one late train that gets you through, but or is it that the latest train is kind of straight after the game, so you wouldn't even be able to have a pint anyway?
It's like 10:10, and I'd have the 8:00 kickoff. I'd have to be leaving before the kickoff to get there. It's something rubbish like that.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, so Brentford, they've gone quite well this season. Recently saw that as well today. They've won 7 of their last 9 away games, so they are doing well under Keith Andrews. Definitely doing a lot better away from home than we are. Is there anything else, like just generally, that you think is worth bringing up about Brentford?
Well, it's the whole in the summer when Keith Andrews took over, and there was a really bad vibe around that, wasn't there? And everyone was laughing at them and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say I wasn't.
They went into that on Monday, didn't they? They went into that on Monday as well, quite well.
Yeah, and I just I kind of wonder about like what difference does a coach make at Brentford? Like, are we any wiser? Do we think Keith Andrews is any good or not? Do we know yet? Yeah. Or is he just plug and play? He's just a decent guy that's not like upsetting everybody and carrying on doing what they were doing before? Or is there something to the guy? Would you want Keith Andrews at Leeds, for example? I don't know. So it's just a really interesting
thing. So.
Yeah. No, but then watching Brentford, they do a lot of things that I wish we would do with our squad in terms of tactical. They're very much what we should be doing if Farke wasn't such an awkward guy. That's a polite way of saying it. So yeah, they're quite an interesting one, and we've seen how Thomas Frank hasn't gone well at Spurs. Now, that's not necessarily an indication he's a bad coach. He's maybe just a bad fit for Spurs. But I do sometimes wonder if there's something about Brentford that means they're such a well-run club. They've got such a clear idea about what they're doing. The coaching setup more broadly must be very good. That who knows if Keith Andrews is any good. But one thing's for sure is the squad's pretty good. I think that I kind of like what they've done with the squad, and they're quite an interesting club to follow, aren't they? Really, generally speaking.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think. Well,
Can I rephrase that? They're not an interesting club in the slightest. In terms of the overall club, the culture of the club, there isn't any, is there? It's just there may as well be a Rugby club with a few people at picnics watching the game. But like what they do with the squad is interesting, and the coaching.
Yeah. I think I went on record at the start of the season, kind of saying, they hadn't really had that many hits of signings in the Premier League that they'd made.
I agreed with you until I looked at the squad.
Yeah. Well, I think that then what's happened is the last summer with some of the changes that they made, they got things right this time round.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think a lot of they managed to move on some things that didn't work as well. But like when we've looked at when people kind of saying, "Oh, but Brian Mbeumo," I'm like, yeah, but he was someone that they brought through. They signed when they were in the Championship, where they were able to find that value a bit better. Was
Yeah,
my argument.
He was a French second
Yeah,
division guy that they bought for 4 million or something
it
like
was your
that.
Riyad
Yeah,
Mahrez sort of signing,
yeah,
really.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. In fact, was he from the same club? Maybe even.
Potentially.
Yeah,
But yeah, they didn't make any more significant signings in January. They did sign a player for 10 million, but he's a 18-year-old forward, and some weird thing with Josh De Silva's contract, who I think they've just signed so that he can get proper rehab and insurance potentially with a knee injury, and then all the rest were just kind of small loans or players just going out that they've
yeah.
got stocked up. But yeah, I think that this time around they have fixed maybe some issues that they were trying to, because I think that's another reason why we all thought Brentford were going to be in trouble. It wasn't just the head coach change to Keith Andrews, who,
Yeah.
by all accounts, I didn't think he ever came across as a tactically astute pundit.
No, he
Whereas
was.
I
Yeah,
look
he
at
was just a
Wayne
bit of a
Rooney,
vibes.
who's not
Yeah,
been a
vibes
good
guy.
coach. Yeah, I look at Wayne Rooney, who's not been a good coach, but I think that he's very tactically astute on, like, when he's on Match of the Day and when he's actually doing analysis, he comes across really well, in my opinion.
Different jobs. They're just different jobs,
Just
aren't they?
different jobs.
I think
Just different
we
jobs.
have to.
Yeah, one's
Yeah,
analysis
yeah,
and one's coaching,
yeah.
and they can be two different things. Um, so yeah, and I thought the transfer stuff with them was going to catch up to them, especially when they signed Jordan Henderson, who I also didn't think was a player who was going to add anything to them, but he seems to have done. So fair play.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, they seem to have worked out it well. So yeah, you spoke about a little bit earlier there on they're doing things with the squad that you kind of want Leeds to be doing. So yeah, in possession, how does that look then?
Well, they're just kind of they've got Igor Thiago up front, who's quite similar to Calvert-Lewin in profile, isn't he? I would say similar sort of build, good in the air, good, and they're just very quick to play up to him, and they've got a lot of pace around him, so they're just more happy to go up, go forward quickly, or long balls in behind for him or the wingers to chase, or balls up to him for him to win the flick-ons or battle with the centre halves. I think they just really lean into the obvious physical advantages they've got over most teams in that forward line that Leeds have. If we don't utilize as effectively as we should do.
Yeah.
So I just kind of I just look at them and think big strong spine, pace down the flank, little bit of technical ability in the middle. It's our squad, isn't it? You could just
Yeah,
if
they've probably got more
map,
technical ability than we have. That's probably the bit that they have over us is having Damsgaard. Although Damsgaard is injured, I think.
Oh, that's good news because he's good. He's not injured on the. Yeah, he was fit in the last game, and I did a bit of a search before this pod, and I couldn't see anything about him being injured. But you tell me.
I
otherwise.
thought I may have seen he was, but I could also be completely wrong.
Mm.
But yeah.
Yeah, but they're just really clear-eyed, I think, about what they've got in terms of their qualities in forward areas and how they build the ball, and they just lean into it in ways that Farke refuses to do for us. And I think we could be fairly close to them in the league if we'd really lent into our, not quite, but I think we could be closer to them if we'd really lent into our attributes with the squad, which in ways we haven't done.
Yeah, Damsgaard is a worry.
Right.
Yeah, he is a worry, but they're not 100% sure whether if it's too much of a worry or not yet. So I guess that's something that will come out of their press conference, which I think is going to be Friday. We recorded on Thursday, so I was hoping that we were going to get both press conferences. Because we managed to get Farke's today, so we were a bit more clued up on doing this preview than we sometimes are with updates. But yeah, it looks like Damsgaard is a doubt at least. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, sorry, I interrupted you there before you finished, Dan. I can't.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, just interesting. I just think they're just really clear-eyed about what they want. So they've got guys that can do long throws. They've got big centre backs. They're great from set pieces. They get it forward and wide quick, and and hit a lot of crosses. I think they're the team that makes the most long balls in this league. I think, or in the top couple of teams in terms of long ball percentages. But if you sit and watch a game, There are many things I recognise about watching Leeds play with Brentford, even though they have a back four, we have a back five.
Yeah.
There's still the sort of things that we're seeing from their midfielders. We see Gurev do, for example, that kind of thing, dropping out to the fullback and playing it from there. We see that at Brentford. We see their fullbacks pushing really far forward and giving them a lot of width, like our wing backs do. So just think Leeds, but more like more finely tuned is what
Yeah,
I'd say.
more efficient, I think, is
Yeah,
one of the words
yeah,
that we were kind of saying before. Yeah, and they're also, I think they're the most, penalty-wise, I think I saw that they are the most efficient penalty takers in the league as well. I think they've scored 7 from 7 that they've had.
right,
And they've also conceded 7. I think they've conceded the most penalties in the league.
right.
But Keith Keller has saved 4. So,
See, I've got a bit of a theory about that. I think their forward line is going to be ideal for winning penalties, and I think we're quite good at
yeah,
winning penalties. But
I think,
I look
yeah,
at
we
their
are.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I look at their centre backs and I think big clumsy centre backs. I can see them diving in. Nathan Collins,
Yeah.
quite good at those kind of players. Good centre backs, but I guess a bit like Jacobiol, big lumbering kind of guys that occasionally going to miss time and give
Just
penalties
gonna
away.
push someone over.
Push someone over, yeah, but yeah. So I can kind of see why they give penalties away. I can see where they win
Yeah.
pens. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so on more of the defensive stuff, are they setting up in a deep block, or are they doing a high press or mid block sort of thing? Like we've seen kind of a bit of all of that with Leeds, haven't we? So are they similar in that way as well, or do they have a
I
different
would
set way?
I would say probably the biggest difference, more low block or mid to low block, and particularly I would expect them to be quite low block against us at Ellen Road. I think they're happy to low block 4-4-2 it, just 4-4-2 low block, and just wait and win the ball, and then go and then attack the space behind when we win the ball back. I think they like having that space in behind for their forwards to run onto. So I think low block, and I think they will have looked at the Sunderland game, for example, against us recently, and they'll see low block Leeds now. That's the way to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I absolutely expect them to be low block, and I think they do have the capability to press and get in teams' faces, but I think that's more something they'll do at home, where they're expected to be the protagonist a little bit more. I think away
Yeah.
from home, don't expect any kind of pressing or aggressive out of possession stuff.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else. There was that graphic that came out a few weeks ago from Skill Corner where it kind of like ranked the positions of low blocks and percentage of time that they spent in a low block or a high block. Red being below and blue being high, but Brentford are literally smack bang in the middle. It's them and Spurs, just like either or on the sides of those, of just being a mix of mid and low, really. Recent form, as I mentioned, they have won their last 7 away game. They won 7 of their last 9 away games. What else have they done? Did they win on? They beat Wolves on Monday.
No, it was a 2-up. So I watched. No, it was quite an interesting game actually. They were 2-up and looking really, really good, and then Wolves changed it up second half and got back into it and got a 2-2 draw, and perhaps had the better chance the second half to actually win it, nick it. But Brentford, it's worth going back and looking at the goals. Actually, Brentford's got a couple of really nice goals to go 2-up, like good long, good sort of direct football goals. There were some nice moments there, and I was watching that thinking, ooh, these look tasty. But then Wolves kind of got in the faces and changed things around a bit second half and got like direct with them. And turned it round.
Yeah,
so,
they have been a bit shaky in defence in that way over the past few weeks, haven't they? They were 3-0 up against Burnley, ended up only winning 4-3, and nearly lost those 2 points there a couple of weeks ago. And then prior to that, they lost to Brighton, but they beat Newcastle as well 3-2. So again, a lot of goals there. They've been a bit more leaky than they usually are, or than maybe you'd be suspecting them to be, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean they give up a fair bit of XG as well. Typically in games, I'm looking here, they over 30 games. This is coming from FootMob, so I'm not sure what XG model it is, but they've given up 41.5 XG over 30 games. Now Leeds are giving up 44, and I don't think Leeds have got a particularly good defence. So, Brentford are very much mid-table in that respect, but they do generate quite a lot of XG. So they have quite high XG games. They generate quite a bit. They're not quite 2 a game, but you're talking 1.7, 1.8 often a game. for them.
I remember seven of ours are penalties that we've given away.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, the basically on the numbers a pretty good team, aren't they? They're kind of going to the XG differential, the 7th in the league.
Yeah.
Whereas we are 11th in the league. So it's kind of like this screams mid-table, doesn't it? Two kind of direct mid-table teams going off.
Yeah.
Albeit with one of us where we shouldn't be, lower down the league. So I think they're pretty good. They're pretty strong without being outstanding. You don't watch them and think, wow, they're brilliant, but you have these really nice
No.
moments. Or, really good
Just
bits of
solid. You just think solid sort of thing, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you mentioned that we don't think they'll do anything different against Leeds than what they really did against Wolves.
Well, so it's really interesting because Wolves, like Brentford had a lot of ball against Wolves, but the really good attacking moments came from direct play. Where so the second goal, if you watch that, it was a long ball from Kelleher, over the top, sort of down the left channel, and Utara ran onto it. Really, really fantastic first touch to break him away, and then he just ran into the box and then just squared it to Thiago, Igor Thiago, who tapped it away. But what really made it was a really great long ball from Keller, and what really made it was the first touch, Utara's first touch, just to take it away from the defender.
Yeah.
And he was in that left channel, and he took it diagonally towards the goal. Sometimes wingers take a ball away from the goal. He did the opposite. He put it across the defender, so the defender couldn't do anything about it. Cut it off and then squared it to Thiago. And it was just a really, really interesting piece of skill. But obviously, what it was Brentford had a lot of the ball in that game, but they were really quick to recognise when Wolves were out of shape and high up the pitch, and played it forward quickly, and they're really, really sharp with that. So that's just what's interesting. So I think Leeds will have to be very careful, I guess, with Brentford and how good they are at playing long.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned Thiago. There we've kind of touched on Damsgaard not being available. And you've also mentioned the defenders being maybe potentially a little bit clumsy. But is there any others who you think could cause us problems or that will struggle against Leeds?
Well, what I like is the front three is you've got Thiago, who's the kind of classic number 9, very similar to Calvert-Lewin in a lot of what he does. And then they've got Sade and Utara either side of him, who are both goal threats. They don't necessarily hug the touchline. They're kind of more wide forwards. They'll come in, and they're both very quick, both happy carrying, dribbling the ball, good assists, good goal scorers. Like Sade's got 10 goals and assists combined. Utara's got 8 goals and assists combined. Thiago's got 20. That's their front. So between their front three, they've got 38 goals.
Just saying now your front three just means you're instantly not going to be in a relegation battle, right? Getting that sort of output from the front three.
From those, and the fullbacks are very good and get high and wide like ours do. So it's very much like the midfield setup allows the fullback to really push on. So
I guess we haven't even really mentioned Coyote, who's also the long throw guy.
He looks a good player, and he gets them up the pitch really well, nicely on the right hand side as well. Looks like a real find. I mean, I won't be shocked if in a year or so he's a big sale. Next one, the big sale. List for Brentford.
I think there was already talks of like City or Chelsea looking at him because they just wanted to have someone who could do that sort of thing
and be athletic and can play. He just looks like a really good all-round packaged fullback. These modern fullback. So they've got they get a lot of attacking width and joy from the fullbacks with a very good narrow front three that's just a goal threat the whole time, and a lot of power. So it's just it's a front three I really rate. I can't say I always did. I remember when they bought Ouattara, I was a bit like, they've overpaid there. I don't think
I thought
anymore.
they overpaid on Ouattara. I also thought that I'm sure was Igor Thiago there last year as well, and he was injured for a bit, and then
the boy from Belgium.
I thought he was not a. I did think that was one of the flops, so it's just taken him a year to kind of come through. I think Sade was bought in January the year before as well, and it's kind of taken him a bit of time.
I think with Sade, he looked really, really good instantly, but he's been injury prone. There's a lot of injuries. He's been a bit hit and miss, and he looks like he's having that sort of steady season now. So I think he always looked talented and decent. And they had Johan Wissa, didn't they? So it wasn't such a problem, Sade being not available.
And they had the issue at the start of the year as well. That was one of the other reasons why we thought, because you've got Wissa complaining just
Yeah.
going on strike.
Going to strike, yeah. But I think the previous years they had Mbuemo, they had Wissa. So Sade being injury prone and being in and out was fine, wasn't much of an issue. And Lewis
Yeah.
Potter as well, who's sort of steady away cover guy. But all of a sudden, yeah, Thiago in his second season just like the penny's dropped, hasn't it? He's come from Belgium. I think
Yeah.
people don't realise. I guess he came from Belgium straight to the Premier League. That's a big jump.
It's a huge jump. Yeah.
Yeah, not just in level, in terms of style of play, and they paid a lot of money for him. I mean, a lot of people thought it was an overpay, me included. They paid
I think
35
did they
million.
pay similar? Yeah, that's similar to what Aston Villa paid for. Well, or is it more than what Aston Villa paid for Wesley that time?
Yeah,
Who was from Club
yeah.
Brugge, wasn't he? Yeah.
It just seemed like an overpay, but you watch him now and you think, no, then maybe they knew was going to take a year. They were just kind of okay with that, and they were happy to carry that cost and that criticism while he settled in. And look at him now. Like I say, Atara was perhaps an overpay, but I guess did they bring him in after Mbuemo went? I presume so. So I guess they got stung on the price.
It was just one of those where I was shocked that Ouattara wanted to leave Bournemouth.
Yeah, but look at him now. Yeah.
I
mean, I guess he wasn't getting in above Semenyo, was he, on the left-hand side?
No, not at the time.
Bournemouth at the time. No, he'd be there now, but obviously, but that's a different story. So I guess I can understand him going to be the main guy somewhere, and he is. So yeah, just a real strong front three, which I really like, and yeah, some other good players, like you say, the right back's really great. The centre mid, Yarmouk, that's it. There we are. I think he looks like a really good player. Really, really good young player. Yeah, he might be someone that goes for a big fake. He's only 22, which surprised me a little bit when I looked this up. So yeah, just a nice squad with a great front three, and that gets you a long way, doesn't it?
Yeah, so we've kind of listed off quite a few of the players there, but do you want to take a crack at the lineup of what you expect?
Yeah.
I know you've said you expect it to be the same as Monday, but maybe one little change somewhere.
Yeah, so I thought the same as Monday. So I'll read the team out for Monday, and we'll just shout out where it might be different. So they had Kelleher in goal, which I expect won't be any different. Keane Lewis Potter, who's probably more widely known as a winger, but he's been playing fullback quite a bit.
He's been there Stuart Dallas, from my understanding so far.
Yeah, he'll be the left back. Yeah. Collins and Van der Berg will be the likely centre backs, although Christopher Ayer plays quite a bit, but they tend to be the first choice pair, I think. But Ayer's played quite a bit. And Coyote, who's the right back, is really, really good. He'll be the first choice right back. Henderson in centre mid will be the more defensive midfielder, with either Yarmouk or Jensen. I think Yarmouk and Henderson are the first choice double pivot as a rule. So I would expect those two to play with Damsgaard in the 10. If Damsgaard isn't fit, then I wouldn't be shocked for them just to go with a more solid midfield three and play Jensen and Yarmouk, and maybe allow Jensen or Yarmouk just to push forward into the 10 position now and again. So Atara, Sade is the wingers and Thiago up front. That would be what I expect. So yeah, it's just Damsgaard. Unless they do something really interesting tactically and perhaps play a back three against us, but I'd be surprised. They've been a back four team for most of the season. I know in previous years they've been a wing back team, but for the most part this year they're a back four team, like 4-2-3-1 for the most part.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll just see, I guess. I'm just trying to think who between Jensen and Yarmouk, which one would be more likely to go forward. For some reason, my head says Jensen.
I was thinking Jensen is a good passing, quite a good technical player, quite a good ball striker from the edge of the box. Yeah. I just wonder if he'll just be given the license just to drift forward. They might be thinking about overpowering Leeds in centre mid, so the third midfielder might be something they're thinking.
Yeah, and we'll get on to how we can maybe combat that a little bit later. Just some stuff on the stat side of things now. They don't give up much set piece XG, actually, don't Brentford.
No.
So this must be outside of penalties, because I know that, as I said previously, they've given up 7 penalties, which is 0.77-ish per one of them. So this must be outside of that. Yeah. But yeah, 7.85 XG from set pieces is all they've given away, which is the third lowest amount of XG, and they've only conceded 6, which is, again, the third lowest in the league. Amazingly, Wolves have only conceded 5 from set pieces,
right,
which says a lot. So yeah, considering that's been one of our strengths this year, that's probably a cause for concern within that. Attacking wise, like we said, from set pieces again, they've been quite good. They're an Arsenal light in my opinion, the way that they attack with what they're looking for at the moment. They've created 13 XG, 14 XG, which is the third highest, but they have only scored 8 set pieces. So yeah, this is without penalties. So then they've only scored like the 6th lowest amount of set pieces.
That kind of surprises me really, because they've got good delivery from Damsgaard. Keenan's Potter's quite a good cross of the ball, I guess, from wide free kicks. Jensen's a good ball striker. So I'm surprised at that. And they've got a lot of big lads. I mean, obviously Thiago's a big centre forward. They can get in the end of things. They've got like Van der Berg's tall. Ayer's a big lad, and Nathan Collins is an absolute giant, isn't he? Centre back.
Yeah,
you would fancy some of those guys.
And he's a set piece coach.
Yeah,
Keith Andrews is a set piece coach, right? So
yes. So I'm a little bit surprised at that. And I wonder if there's a bit of variation at play. That'd be interesting one to think about. Yeah,
I'm also wondering if the throw-ins are being classed as set pieces by Opta.
They're not being, perhaps, because obviously the throw-ins, So I wouldn't rest. I wouldn't take too much comfort from that personally. I think they're going to be a threat from set pieces.
I think there's definitely options to take from defending, but I think definitely going forward, probably not anything to take from that. Anything else that you've got under your stats, apart from
not in terms of stats?
No. Kelleher likes to save penalties. That'd be nice.
No, I don't have a ton in terms of stats. I've kind of focused more on the tactics and more watching them play really, and see how they build up and that kind of stuff. So, I can get into that if you wish.
No, I think that's all good on the Brentford side, unless there is anything else that you do want to add that we have missed.
No, not really. No, they're quite interesting how they build up, and it's like I've noticed that they do the thing where the centre mid drops out to left back and to allow to make it like a situational back three.
Really,
they do a lot of, exactly what he does. Yeah, and they do a lot of bounce balls, and then it's almost like they're trying to draw the opposition out.
Yeah, to then make that go over the top.
Yeah, just look for that. So, and the centre back split often. So what you'll find is a centre mid dropping in to be almost like
probably
a third centre back.
I imagine.
Yeah, but any of them really, they all rotate around. And the other centre mid will drop out to left back, and the full backs, and then all of a sudden it'll be Nathan Collins will just ping it into the corner, and then they all go. So you're going to see a lot of that. They'll see them just rotate around quickly and ping as soon as they can, as soon as they feel like they've got us in a position. So that's what they'll do, and it'll just be a long ball.
Yep, that's not what I want to see, because we might be exposing those areas if we've got a lot of the ball at times.
Yeah.
But we will get on to that after this little break. So now is time for the Leeds part of our analysis. Let's start. Well, we'll start with some bit of team news that's come out of this before jumping straight into what we think the lineup will be. Because I don't think it's going to affect the exact starting lineup, but the fact that Noah Okafor is back in contention, I think that's quite important. Dan, what do you reckon?
Yeah, so I think this is your start. You don't think we've won since he's been injured? And have we scored a goal?
We've scored 1 goal and got 2 points in the time that he's been injured. Yeah.
Now, single player with and without single player points per game is messy.
Yeah.
But I do feel he's a player that hasn't necessarily got his flowers, to use the phrase, from the fan base. And I'm wondering if we're seeing the upside of Okafor. Now, a lot of people are judging Okafor because he's not got tons of goals and assists.
Yeah.
And he sometimes wastes good positions, doesn't he? With spamming crosses into the fullback or whatever it is. And I think that's all fair enough. But like I say, our attacking output looks. The eye test tells me we're not playing as well. We're not creating as much as we were without him. And the reason I think that is, I think it's just a volume thing. I think what he does is he and Goodmanson, particularly on the left, they just get us into good, dangerous areas a lot.
Yeah.
And even though he's spamming crosses that don't come to a lot, what are we good at? We're good at counter pressing. So because we're just
And
in the
also,
good,
what are we good at? If it hits a defender and he's crossing from certain positions, it's going out for a throw. It's going out for a corner. That's where
yeah,
we've been dangerous so far this year.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
he poses that threat down that side as well because he has that ability to come on the inside, and he's got that speed, which means defenders and defenses have to think about him as a threat, especially also with a bit of pace that he's got and that
and
ball
power
over
as
the top.
well. He drags
Yeah,
physically drags people with him as well because he's a big lad, isn't he?
and so if you're a defence and you've got to try and focus on him, that gives a bit more space for DCL or other players to just do a little bit more. And at the moment, I think it's just that we've been too much of only having one thing to worry about from a defensive point of view for oppositions.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that him coming back could be a big plus.
He's an outlet and he's a good presser. Like people, I mean, the where I sit in the North Stand, it's just loads of old boys that grumble about the same thing every week, irrespective of what's happening in front of them. And they all grumble about him. So the moment the ball breaks in front of him, he doesn't quite win it back. Look, the grumble about him say he's not hard working. Yeah, like I saw a stat the other day about him. Does he get the most high intensity sprints in the Premier League or something? Or
Yeah.
like he's a good presser. I mean, how many goals have we won from no Okafor pressers? A couple this year I can think of.
Yeah, I think FB ref don't even give him an assist, but like we all just went, didn't he press Sanchez so that like DCL could put the ball in the net from a yard out?
Yeah. So I just think he just does a lot of he brings a lot of physicality, gets us into really good areas for other players to do what they're good at. Whether that be set piece delivery or counter pressing. Did he score a couple of goals and maybe an assist before he got injured as well? I thought perhaps we're starting to see a little bit more output as well from him.
Yeah, I seem to remember so.
Yeah, a couple of goals recently. So I just feel like the sooner he gets back, the better our attack will look, just because he'll just give us more opportunities to attack in broken play because of what he brings. Aronson's looked a bit poor recently the last couple of weeks, hasn't he, compared to 2 months ago?
Yeah.
Maybe that extra space that Aronson likes to transition into is there because of Okafor, or partly there, because of Okafor.
And that's kind of like where my head's going with it. To why it might not be a direct that Okafor has, been involved in goals, been involved in those movements, but he's a threat that's greater than what we've got currently within the squad.
Yeah, I mean, there's enough there, isn't there? And we talked about Thiago, having that really good second season in terms of output. Don't count on Okafor not having a better output season next year if he remains the first choice left winger.
Yeah, once he's had I guess it depends obviously if he goes to Switzerland or not at the World Cup, but if he gets a nice pre-season with us, it's because he obviously had pre-season with AC Milan anyway. Before he joined us, so it could make the difference. But I don't think either of us probably expect him to start after having a few weeks out. So what do we expect the lineup to look like? Bearing in mind, obviously, Goodmanson, we can't appeal that red card. So because it's the second yellow. What are we expecting? Well, we know that James Justin's at least going to come in at left back.
Yeah, so James Justin will be at left back. So I presume we stick with the back five or the back three plus wing backs.
Yeah.
So the big question is, do we stick with the 3-5-2 or the 3-4-1-2 with Aronson and the one, and the two forwards, or do we go back to the 3-4-3? Now, in my mind, Fark thinks the 3-4-3 is a more attacking, proactive system than the 3-5-2.
Yeah.
So for a home game where we're expected to be the protagonist, I think Fark will want to play the 3-4-3. So for him to do that, he's got to pick Dan James or Nonto, hasn't he?
Yes.
With Aronson on the other side. So I wouldn't be shocked to see one of those two come in. So Aronson on the right hand side and one of Nonto or Dan James on the left. Probably Nonto. Although I feel like
he prefers Dan James, but then does he shuffle Aronson to the left and put Dan James on the right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I agree Fark prefers Dan James more broadly.
Yeah.
But I think for this situation, he might give Nonto a run just for that left-hand side if he wants to keep Aronson on the right. If he's not precious about Aronson playing left or right, then Dan James right, Aronson left. If he's precious about Aronson on the right, and I don't know. I get the feeling he wants to use Aronson on the right or central.
Yeah, I agree. I also feel like
So
he could just stick with the same squad but go 3-4-3 and put Mecha on at the left wing and be like,
could
be
could
there.
do it. He could almost just do it like he did at the other day at Palace, and just have almost like an uneven front three and like a front
Yeah.
two and just tell
It's Mecha.
Aronson and just tell Aronson he's allowed to drift and push wide, and maybe give Stack license to push forward on the other side. There's like a
Yeah.
auxiliary kind of wide 10, maybe something like that. So that's he could go unchanged because Fart loves an unchanged team, doesn't he?
Yeah,
And he'll see
really
that.
does.
Yeah, it's part. I mean, the other thing is what does he do with Gruev? Does he want to put his boy Gruev back in? I mean, obviously, anyone with half a brain hopes not, but Farker's got less than half a brain as far as I'm concerned. So I can see.
I can't
We
see him
can't.
going 3-5-2 and at home and stodging up with Ampadu, Stack, and Gruev. I just cannot see that.
Yeah,
I'd be worried
he
if he
loves
does.
he loves his boy Gruev, doesn't he? But does he love his boy Gruev that much to go to stodge at
Yeah,
home? I don't think he does. So
I
yeah,
don't think.
I'm sticking to my theory that he'll go 3-4-3. There's a reasonable chance that Nonto gets a start. There's probably a better chance he just tries to use Nemetra as a wide forward.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to see Nyonto there.
Well, yeah,
Part of me says that Dan James is in front of him still. That again,
yeah,
it'll depend on where he wants Aronson because I don't think he wants to drop Aronson at all.
no,
That's the second boy in it. It's Gruev and then Aronson, it seems, and then Dan James is how I would always list his three.
yeah. I mean, I think
Now James Justin, it seems, but I'm not too bothered about James
yeah,
Justin because that's I like him.
yeah. Well, yeah, and I think Ampadu and Rodon probably in that category. But again, I like them.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind Aaron. I think Aronson's proved me wrong a little bit this year, and I kind of credit him for that.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
I'm not as down on him but I think he's limited, and I think Nonto at his best is better than Aronson at his best, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah.
I think I think we'd all agree that. I don't mind Gruev in certain circumstances, but I think I want to use him in certain games that we're looking to stodge out and control. We're trying to hold on to a lead or something. That's when Gruev should be used. Gruev shouldn't be used from the off when we're looking to be a protagonist team, that kind of thing. So
No, I totally agree. So, with that, which players that we have do you think will cause them the most problems? And is there anyone who may struggle in this one, apart from Gruev if Gruev starts? Because we've just covered that one.
yeah. So what I noticed against Wolves in the other bits I've looked at in the prep for this is kind of outside to in runners running across the Brentford centre backs, cause them a lot of trouble. Go back and watch the highlights of the first goal Wolves scored on Monday night against Brentford and Alan Armstrong. That was it. So the ball broke in midfield. Brentford got a little bit lucky. Sorry, Brentford. Wolves got a little bit lucky. The ball broke the goal side of Henderson, and the Wolves centre mid, I forget who it was able to pull away from Henderson. Henderson couldn't keep pace with him. So the game was really open, and the Brentford had like a situational back three, I think, with Wolves, 3 players running at them. And Armstrong was wide left on the left-hand side on the channel, and he kind of ran across the blind side of Collins, the centre-back, and the ball was just played in that gap, and he just pinged it straight in really well. But a few times I just saw the Brentford centre-backs, when running backwards, they really struggled with runners coming across them and
Which
diving
is
in
the
behind them.
sort of time where if Ocker falls on, he can be good at that.
But Aronson could also be good at that. I think Nonto's good at that as well off the left. So I wonder if there are the opportunities where we do get to break, if we just if we can be really clever about and our runners can make lateral runs as well as horizontal runs. Is that right?
Something that Bogle does
horizontal.
quite well, actually. Bogle does well at going from making his run to central.
Yeah, particularly if the winger Aronson or whoever holds
if it's James
width
on the outside. Yeah, if we do go James and Bogle actually do have quite a good chemistry on that side. I feel. Yeah.
Well, this is one thing I liked in the Championship, that Bogle worked with Nonto, who would occupy the inside channel, so Bogle became an outside threat, and he was equally confident doing the inside threat with James. I think he worked equally well both ways, and Bogle was good enough in the Champ to do that, wasn't he? So.
Yeah, totally agree. So who might struggle? I'm more wondering, do we think the centre-backs are going to struggle with Thiago and the way that their runners come at us?
I don't think we'll struggle too much with Thiago. I think back to the game at the G-Tech, where it's called their stadium. Thiago was very, very quiet. I think our centre-backs managed him quite well. I think physically they could match him. I think I don't worry about big physical forwards against our players so much, but I wonder if we play a back three and their wide forwards can get a run on our wide centre backs. So if Thiago can draw everybody in, so it's Thiago doing the dirty work, not necessarily being great himself, but drawing people in, and it's their wide forwards getting in the space behind. So Ouattara and Sade, I think, might be the more of the threat.
The bit that, as much as I love him, the bit that like worries me is if someone gets on the run with Strauch and then they cut inside, and that's usually the bit when Strauch can find himself wrong-footed.
Yeah,
or he overruns it by a yard because he's trying to anticipate their pace.
Yeah, so I kind of Rodon less so is less of an issue, albeit Sade's a great player. I would fancy Rodon to hold his own there. But yeah, you're right. If Strike gets drawn in a little bit with Biol to Thiago, and their wingers get like the run on Strike and he's turning and trying to catch up. James just in a position up the pitch, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's the worry. So it's their wide forwards getting in behind our wide centre backs is the worry, particularly with our wing backs high up the pitch. And perhaps only Ampadu covering from a centre mid perspective.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we've both kind of said the changes in our tactics in or out of possession could be due to how Brentford try and set up. So, we might end up looking like we're a team that are going to have more of the ball, which isn't exactly the best at the moment for us.
No.
Would you hope that if he does go Nonto, that might affect how well we do in that moment?
Yeah, so going back to the Sunderland game, I didn't hate the 3-4-3. I hated the personnel he picked. Like, he picked Stack as a 10. Well, Stack isn't a between the lines 10. Stack is a centre mid who can drive forward and be an attacking threat, but from deeper positions. He picked Guruev, who's not great at defending big open spaces when we're going to have all the ball, like Stack is. It's just like, like pick Stack in centre mid and have a between the lines player like Nonto or Buonanotte. Keep forgetting him, don't we? These players, so, yeah, if Brentford come and play two banks of four, Nonto's more than happy operating between the lines, isn't he? And drifting into those kind of like number 10 type positions. He's got some of the attributes of a typical 10, even as a winger, isn't he? Nonto.
I agree.
He would be a good tactical, if picking up second balls in between the lines, that kind of thing from Calvert-Lewin, and then going from there and releasing wide runners and stuff. That's something Nonto could do. So I personally would like to see him play for that reason. But yeah, I don't think Fark will. Fark will probably do something else, something weird.
And out of possession, do you think that we're going to try and be a mid to low, or do you think that with us being at home, we're going to have to, it's going to be a case of put pressure on the centre-backs, try and make a mistake rather than getting the ball up to Thiago in the first place? Or is it let the ball go up and hope that our defenders win it and then we win the second ball?
I can see us pushing out on Brentford and try and forcing an error. I can see us, if not being a higher press, being that kind of mid block and looking to squeeze out. So their centre back split and build up quite a bit, and they'll the keeper will play the ball to centre mid and he'll ping it out to draw the opposition press in, and then they'll ping it out to one of the centre backs who are basically in the full back position, and then it goes forward. So I wonder if we'll have a bit of a plan to get our wingers right up against their centre backs, perhaps. And for Calvert-Lewin to just to kind of try and block the lane to the centre mid and try and press them that way and force them long earlier. I wonder if we'll try and do that.
I guess that. So, I think that's what we might try. And I guess the worry for me there goes if we go with the personnel that we've discussed of what Fark might do with, like, if he goes with Gruev and then they beat that line of that first press.
And Gruev's a lot of space
in the middle. Yeah.
And Gruev doesn't cover the ground all that well. Yeah.
No. I guess that's where the danger comes. But I'm sure that Farker will believe that Gruev could cover it fine because he thinks he's Busquets and Stoichkov all in one. But
I mean, the thing is, one thing Gruev is good at is I think he's quite an intelligent footballer, isn't he?
Yeah.
He picks up good positions. He gets himself. He wins the
first bit first. If he gets that first anticipation correct, which he often does, I think is a thing. like where the ball's going to land. It's just if he's got that wrong, he doesn't have the physical
No,
capability to recover.
no. It's just a limited physical profile. I mean,
Yeah.
I would not be shocked at all if he's got like the highest football IQ in that squad. If he's a bloke you talk to, but he's the interesting guy to talk to about football. He's the guy that makes a good coach down the line. That kind of thing. I would not be shocked at all because you've got to expect that because of his physical limitations, and yet he can still compete in the Premier League. So it must be a lot of the whole Teddy Sheringham line about the is the fastest guy in the league in his head or whatever. You know what I mean, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if that's some of that in Grove, and that's why Fart likes him. And
that's what they used to say about me.
Is that right?
When I was 10 or 11,
when you were 10 or 11,
the coach's dad was sorry, this is a bit off topic, but it's a nice little bit of lore about me, guys. The coach's dad was a referee at non-league level, like literally conference or Division 3. He'd get a couple of those games at the time before it was League 1 and League 2 for all the young'uns listening. And he turned around to my dad and went, he's the smartest player out there. The only issue is he's got no physical capabilities, and that's why he's in goal. And I was like, and he was like, yeah, that's perfectly true.
I mean, you sometimes wonder, don't you, if like people develop smart play because they have limitations, so they've they adapt them without realizing they adapt themselves, don't they? And as kids and stuff, be like an unconscious thing. Yeah. So that's the only thing. Anyway,
no, go on. You were saying?
I was going to say, yeah, counterattacks. It's a slight worry that if we end up pushing with a front four, and we end up like a 4-2-4 pressing shape, and they play the ball into that, and and Thiago knocks it down, and then all of a sudden they've got runners against Ampadu and Grove in there. Yeah, outnumbered.
I guess as long as if they haven't got Damsgaard, that's not as much of a worry either.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the Chelsea game when they got between the lines against us.
Oh god,
I was thinking about the Chelsea. Yeah. It took like an hour to realise that it was obvious in 10 minutes what was happening. Damsgaard could offer some of that attacking play, but if he's not fit and they play midfield free, maybe that helps us a little bit.
Yep. And so finally, what will this game of football look like, and where do you think the game will be won or lost, Dan? The classic last question.
I don't think it'll be a fun game of football. I don't think it'll be a classic.
It's going to be the worst 8 p.m. Saturday night game ever.
Yeah, it's not a great slot, is it? I like a Friday night 8 p.m. game. They're great, good atmosphere, all that kind of stuff. Start your weekend. But Saturday night's a bit annoying, isn't it? I don't necessarily expect it to be a really fun game unless we score really early and then Brentford have to open up, and it could open up in that scenario. So that's situational. But if it becomes tetchy and low scoring 0-0 half time, you can just see Brentford playing for time, breaking the game up, looking for throw-ins. They're not stupid. They'll see what Sunderland did to us, and they'll be thinking. I mean, I don't necessarily expect them to be as cynical as Sunderland were, because like who is? That was like another level.
It was very bad.
That was like I think that takes a level of shamelessness that like not everyone's capable of. But I can see Brentford.
Still not over Luke O'Nien getting man of the match for that game.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know who. I mean, no one deserved man of the match. I deserve man of the match for sitting through it. No one else. So I think Brentford will take some cues from that game. They've got to do out they're a smart outfit. They're gonna do the homework. So it's not going to be fun unless we just get an early breakthrough. If they get an early breakthrough and take the lead, then it's going to be grim.
And so what are we saying for the games we won or lost? Are we just kind of saying, depending on how it goes? It's not exactly the first goal being important, which is a trademark of this podcast now, apparently.
It's just always true, though, isn't it? It's just a truism, isn't it? And, football's a low-scoring game. I mean, how many goals on average happen in football now? 1.8?
Yes, God knows.
So the first goal is massive, isn't it, in that kind of scenario? Yeah. So it's just, it kind of doesn't need saying. I would say... I don't even know what the question was. What was the question? How's it going to be won or lost?
Yeah, where would you say it's going to be won or lost? Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's those breakdowns, isn't it? Because we're both going to play up to our big centre forwards, and it's kind of who takes care of and gets the most out of those breakdown moments when the game's open. So, do Atara, Sade, Damsgaard, whoever plays, do they capitalise or is Ampadu, not Ampadu, sorry, Aronson, Nemecha, Nonte, whoever, are they able to capitalise for us and sort of generate chances from those sort of scenarios? So yeah, it's that, isn't it? Really, it's who's got the best setup, or who's better prepared to
Or who makes
attack the opposition's weakness quickest.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
who makes the as crap as this
The
sounds
first
as well.
error.
Who makes the first error? Who reacts to that error best? Really,
Yeah.
Who reacts to those errors best?
Yeah.
I think that's the best way that we can describe it.
It's like execution, isn't it? There's two teams in levels that are probably quite similar in play style, are quite similar. They've perhaps got a little bit better personnel in a lot of ways, but I think we perhaps have, home advantage, which is a big deal. And I think systematically we perhaps are as good as them. So yeah, it just feels like a very even sort of game, and it can break even way, really, I would say.
Yeah, am I right in thinking I'm just thinking back to what we were discussing regarding the team. The equaliser that Calvert-Lewin scored against Brentford was from a Nonto cross.
It was a peach of a cross and a
So
lovely
there's
header.
a possibility that actually does play into Farke's selection as well, just being like, well, he knows how to put a cross in against these defenders or whatever.
I think that's cope, Thomas. I think that's cope, I'm afraid.
That is genuine cope. It is full-on cope.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to join that cope with you, but I just don't see it, mate.
Just let me dream.
Yeah.
So, yes, that is everything, I think, because I completely agree with what you take on what you think the game will be like. It has the possibility to turn into something entertaining, as I said, like with the fact that Brentford have conceded quite a few. They've had that 3-2, that 4-3 over the past few weeks, 2-0 up, drew 2-2. It's not the most boring, but I've got a feeling they want to tighten up again. So they might just actually really rein it in, which will make it look like a poor game, unless, like you said, we do score early and it means that it has to be opened up from their side of things. But yeah, I think that's everything. So I will just leave you with a quick reminder that the website for our Patreon is Dan. It's not Dan.
I don't know.
Okay. It's patreon.com/ASAW Patreon. We've both had a bit of a rest. I've got this stuff up in front of me. Dan hasn't.
No.
But we've both had a bit of time off, so I can.
But like and subscribe. Remember, like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. That right? That's the one on the YouTubes and on Spotify. If you
hit the bell. Hit the bell. Is it there?
I think we're on. I hope Alfie adds the bell there, and I hope that this stays in as well. This bit of us both just kind of going like this on the video.
The bell.
What was I going to say? Yes, we are currently on roughly 700 subscribers, and when we get to 1,000, it means that we can do a bit more stuff and a bit with you, and hopefully be able to get even more stuff out there or do different stuff as well, which we would like to do. So if you can, it would be massively grateful.
It'd help us get more guests on it, and opposition guests. That kind of stuff.
That's the main thing for us. We'd love to be able to do that. So yeah, and a reminder that we donate to the Leeds Food Bank, and if you are able to, you can too. Their website is leedsnorthandwest.foodbank.org.uk. We'll be back after the game on Saturday for a review of the Brentford game. It is the international break after that, is it?
It is, yeah. Then there's a cup game, I think, if my memory serves me right. Yes. So, yeah, international break, then the cup game. Yeah.
So we will probably try and get some bonus content. We've not actually had that discussion because I've only just it's only just clicked that it is the international break next. After I saw Joel Peru get called up for Suriname, which we knew was going to happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, he declared for Suriname last month because I think they've got to win 2 games to get into the World Cup. So he's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll help you get into the World Cup and then I'll go to the World Cup, is what seems to be the case. It's him and J-Roy Grott. Him and J-Roy Grott are both in the 2 forwards. What could have been? What could have been?
I mean, he was the opposite of Grove, isn't he? Like not a footballer, but an absolute physical specimen. Like, he merges them somehow.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm in for that. Anyway, we digress. But so we'll be back for a review of this game, and then it's the international break, and I'm sure that we will find something for you. We will let you know on that one. But for now, all that's left is to say thank you to Dan. It's been lovely seeing you and having a catch up and talking Leeds United.
Cool. Yeah, well, nice to see you, mate. I've enjoyed it. Thanks.
And thank you, dear watchers, you perverts and listeners. We will see you next time.
Bye.